They say that cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, I'm here in Port Sunlight on the Wirral to discover how this simple bar of soap led to the development of this idyllic Edwardian village. Welcome to Songs of Praise. On today's programme, I find out how the unconventional industrialist William Lever was motivated by his faith to improve the lives of his employees.
We are told that Mr. Lever read his Bible every day, not just for spiritual guidance, but for practical business guidance as well.
We have hymns from the church at the centre of Port Sunlight, built by William Lever. The Reverend Kate Botley discovers how 200 umbrellas in Liverpool are helping children with ADHD.
I pray, please help me, God, just understand what ADHD is. Please help me, God, just help me calm down.
And there's a moving performance of Tears in Heaven from Bo Dermot, the young girl from Widnes with the big voice. In 1888, when industrialist William Hesketh Lever was looking for somewhere to build the new Lever Brothers soap factory, he chose Port Sunlight. At the time, it was an area of cheap marshy land on the banks of the River Mersey. But Lever had a grand plan. He built this beautiful village and named it after his famous Sunlight soap. At its heart is Christchurch, where Lever wanted Christians of all backgrounds to be made welcome. It continues to be a focal point for the community, and it's where the congregation have gathered for our opening hymn. Born in Bolton in 1851, William Hesketh Lever grew up during the height of the British Empire and quickly developed an entrepreneurial spirit with his own ideas about everything, and faith was no exception. Lever was a Christian, but he wanted all denominations to be able to worship together, so he built the magnificent Christchurch in 1904. Well, as they say at home, Chris, this is some church for a village church. There's no expense spared here.
Well, you're quite right, Claire. That was the mark of the man. When he did something, he did it to the best of his ability. And in the church here, we have Italian marble floors, we have English oak pews, and we have a Henry Willis organ, the best that money could buy at the time.
And tell me about his faith. It was very important to him, wasn't it?
It was very important to him, and it started when he was a child. He grew up in what we would call today a God-fearing family. They all went to church on Sunday, and they all read their Bible together. And for the rest of his business life, we are told that Mr. Lever read his Bible every day, not just for spiritual guidance, but for practical business guidance as well. To Lever, his faith and his business were one and the same thing. He wouldn't do anything in his business that he didn't think his faith would approve of. And in fact, the two great commandments of the New Testament are to love God and to love your neighbour as yourself. And Lever, to me, illustrated both of those commandments in spades.
Lever, later to become Lord Leverhulme, made his money from manufacturing soap. His new recipe and clever packaging saw his brands become household names that sold around the world. But at a time when a lot of Victorian and Edwardian industrialists were out to make money for themselves, Lever wanted to recognise the role his workforce played in his prosperity. So he built the village where employees could live and work. So tell me about Lever's vision for this village, Judith.
His vision was to create a beautiful and comfortable environment for his workforce. Lots of fresh air and open space, beautiful houses. He had a great interest in architecture. So there are no two blocks alike, every block is different. Every house had its own toilet, so there was no sharing. But also each house had a plumbed-in bath with hot water, which was almost unheard of for workers' accommodation at that time. He built a school for all the children. He was a great believer in education. He provided a hospital, a cottage hospital, for all their healthcare needs. He provided a swimming pool, an open-air swimming pool, a gymnasium, lots of sports facilities, every opportunity for physical exercise. He was a firm believer in having plenty to do, so outside of work time they were not to just be idle, they should use their time gainfully and productively, even out of work.
You said he was a real fan of the outdoors. He took that to extreme sometimes, didn't he?
He did, yes, he was a real fresh air fiend, even to the extent that he slept outside in the fresh air every night. He and his wife, his poor wife, their bed was on the roof of their house, under a cover but open to the fresh air, so when it rained, the rain did come in.
Goodness.
And they slept like that every night.
Lever went on to create an early welfare state for his employees, providing them with paid holidays, sick pay and pensions for when they retired.
So he termed it prosperity sharing, that was the term that he used. So rather than just give them a bonus in their pay packet, he shared his wealth by providing this environment for them to live in, this community, this whole way of life.
Now, compassion for children is something all Christians strive for, whatever challenges they face. This year is the 10th anniversary of the ADHD Foundation, which supports children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And the Reverend Kate Botley has been to Liverpool to find out more.
Well, no British summer is complete without one of these, but recently they've been put to a more artistic use. This beautiful art installation in Liverpool aims to raise awareness of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which affects the behaviour of over 500,000 children. Where did the inspiration come from?
The idea came from a group of the children that we work with, all of whom have ADHD and autism and lots of other learning difficulties as well. And they started asking questions about, well, what does ADHD and what does ASD mean? And we explained to them that these are umbrella terms for a range of challenges or needs. And so they came up with this idea of the Umbrella Project because they thought umbrellas also symbolise protection from the rain and the sun, and the Umbrella Project was born.
At the launch, children were asked to write their superpowers on the umbrellas.
A lot of the children were coming up with all kinds of amazing things that they can do, that they're so gifted at, that might not be the kind of things that always pass exams. So many of them that talked about kindness and being a good friend.
Keely is one of the children who's designed an umbrella, and she explained to me how ADHD affects her behaviour.
It's very hard for me to control actually because I sometimes feel like I want to punch my mum or like I want to swear, and it's just like an angel and a devil like saying you could do this and then the angel's like don't do it.
And when you are that big ball of anger in the middle of one of those sort of moments, what do you do?
I just go upstairs and just start to calm down and go, Keely, that's wrong, Keely, just don't do that, Keely, it's bad.
Does God help you with your ADHD?
Yeah, I pray help me understand what ADHD is. Please help me, God, just help me calm down.
Understanding what Keely is going through can be a real challenge, even for her mum.
It's very hard because obviously she's going through something that I don't understand. She doesn't sleep.
And in those moments when she's had a massive meltdown and she's lashing out and trying to hit you and stuff, what do you do and what are you thinking?
I cuddle her, be a hugger and tell her to calm down, it's going to be okay. And then Keely will slowly come out of that angerment and she'll cry to me saying she doesn't know what's happening to her, she doesn't know why she's being naughty, she doesn't know why the things are happening to her. She feels that people don't forgive her, and I always remind her that we do forgive her and that God loves her and that we love her. All the family love her.
Yeah. So I've got this picture of you sort of Keely lashing out and you holding her and putting your arms around her, and it strikes me that perhaps as you're holding on to her, it's like God's holding on to both of you and putting his arms around both of you, really.
That's how it feels sometimes, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
For Keely, being involved in the Umbrella Project is something she's really proud of. What colour's your one?
Mine's yellow.
And you wrote all over it?
Yeah.
And what did you put for your superpower?
I put smiling, being kind, and also dancing and singing.
Well, smiling and being kind are fantastic superpowers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I've been told that this is the place to have a selfie. Can I have my picture taken with you?
Of course.
Oh, great. I love it. I love a picture selfie. Ready? We look great. Thank you.